Yo, what's up, you guys? Johnny Angelz back on another video, and well, basically, like today, I just wanted to talk about like if you guys have been like subscribed to me or Coin for like a while, then you would know that like originally me and him were planning on doing like a story together. We didn't really have a name for it, and like like it kind of like we didn't end up doing it. Obviously, we had like a lot of stuff planned for it. Like there was a lot of stuff in this. And like, well, basically, you guys, this video is going to be pretty long, as you're probably already going to see in the future when this video is out. It's going to be pretty long because I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Because like recently, like, well, I guess I should just like start a little bit from the beginning. When me and Quinn were like younger, we came up with like this idea that we wanted to make an anime, starring like two brothers, which was going to be Mariah and Terios. They were twins, but they were separated at birth. And well, I mean, I guess I could just explain to you guys the story that we had pretty much, yeah, I can pretty much explain to you guys what I had for this, what we had for the story, I should say. Well, okay, see, basically it was it was a mother, and it was a mother with two kids. That was Mariah and Terios, and it was obviously their mother. And in one day, like these vampires just like raided, basically just raided her home to try and like kidnap Mariah and Terios, so like they can become like what you call it, so they can like become vampires. So Celine, the like lead vampire, could turn them into vampires. And what you call it, she ended up getting Terios, but she didn't end up getting Mariah. That's the reason that Terios has red eyes and not blue eyes. Or he would have blue eyes if he was never taken by the vampires. And basically, the only reason Mariah survived is because somebody named well, he wasn't old at the time, but a man named Hanzo took Mariah in. Like he saved him as a baby, and basically he like raised him up to like he basically, yeah, he raised him up to like be that the until he was like what, like 15. Yeah, like when he was like 15, that's when like the story begins really. And after that, like we like when the story like begins, it's gonna be like with Mariah, like like doing like chores and stuff, where like he's like chopping wood, and we were gonna have this thing where like he was afraid of water, and then in this time, like Mariah's eyes are actually going to be black, and because like obviously, as you guys know, his power is going to end up being water. Well, if you didn't know, sorry for the spoilers, but eventually his power was going to end up being water. And we had like this thing where like he was like afraid of water, and he's always constantly having nightmares about himself drowning and stuff like that. It was a cool concept, not gonna lie. And basically, where we was gonna go from there was like one of his chores was that he needed to go fishing, and he was like scared to go fishing because like he was like terrified of water, like absolutely terrified of water. And then once he got like near the water, he almost passed out, but he really didn't. And then like Hanzo came behind him and was like, "Are you still scared of this water?" And then Mariah just stutters all over the place. And then basically Hanzo pushed Mariah into the water, and then Mariah starts to have like a panic attack until he realized that the water is like, it's like a stream, so it's like the water just goes up to his heels, and he's just standing there looking stupid. And then eventually Hanzo's like, "Follow me," and then Mariah follows Hanzo to the top of this like hill with like to the top of this like waterfall. And basically Hanzo tells Mariah to jump, and Mariah's like, "No, I'm not doing that. You already know how I feel about water." And he said, "I know." And Hanzo's like, "I know exactly. That's why I'm telling you to jump. So it's either jump or I'm gonna make you jump." And then Mariah's like, "I'm not doing this." Then he tries to walk away, and then Hanzo basically just blitzes in front of him because he's like way faster than Mariah, because he's like his sensei. And basically he just like gets in front of him, puts his hand to his forehead, and pushes him back and be like, "Get in." And then eventually Mariah just starts to try and make a run for it, and then Hanzo obviously catches up to him and then just tosses him into the water. And then while Mariah's like falling like towards the water, he's well, like yeah, he's falling like towards the water. He's about to fall in, and then right before he can like hit the water, he just passes out like midair. And then we had this like cool scene idea where like Hanzo would like run down the waterfall, catch Mirai, and then like yeah, he would catch Mirai and then jump back to the cliff and then put Mirai back in the house. But like we would just see, basically you would just see the part where like where Hanzo is running down the waterfall, he jumps off the waterfall, catches Mirai, and then you get to see from Mirai's perspective of him like looking at Hanzo carrying him, and then he just like passes out, and then like from the same like Mirai's point of view, we'd see him like wake up in like a bed, like next to like a dim light, you know. And then this girl walks into the room, like is obviously going to be like kind of new, not new, but like new to the like story. Her name is her name is Angel. Her original name was Shade. If you know who Shade is, then you're gonna know who she like becomes. And this is Hanzo's daughter, and like they all stay together, and Angel and Mirai are basically like brother and sister. And so they got a tight relationship because like she's known like Mirai since he was like a baby, and he's known her since he was a baby. They were around the same age group. She's a little bit older than him, not by that much, but he still like kind of gives like more of a, I guess it's kind of like an even, not it's not like a big brother or big sister role. It's kind of like even, you know, like we both protect each other. We both got each other's back. And then what you call it? Eventually, Mariah's asking Angel. He's like, "What happened?" And she was like, "You passed out around the water again." He was like, and then Mariah's just like, I'm getting tired of this. Like I gotta get over this." And then eventually he goes outside back to that same water, to that, well, not the same water, that same waterfall, and he's just staring at it, trying to build up the courage to jump, but he can't. And then Hanzo eventually comes out and finds him out there. And then Hanzo's just like, "Oh, you're out here again." And then Mariah's just like, "Yeah, I really want to get over this." And then Hanzo's just like, "It's all right. We'll get through this one day." Mate, because it's like this is probably going to be a sign in the future to help you out. Because normally things that you fear make you stronger, and that was supposed to be like a sign for like, you know, he's scared of water, and eventually water's going to end up being his power, which, you know, was kind of cool. This was before the electricity even became a concept, but I guess I'll get to that eventually. And I hope you guys like, if you guys, I might do a part 2 because this is a lot to go over. Like, this is only episode 1 and I'm already 8 minutes in, but you know, whatever. Okay, and while they're just talking, it's basically just like this loud explosion that they end up hearing, and then it's Celine's vampires attacking like the village. Like it's not a city because it's not like, you know, like modern times. But yeah, like they're like attacking a village to like take more, like, I was going to say, was it pedestrians, I guess, take more pedestrians and like, you know, turn them into vampires, because like Celine just wants to like build her army to be as big as possible, and that's it. And then, you know, that's what she does. She just takes a whole bunch of vampires and then takes a whole bunch of people to become vampires. And then there's 3 unique like people that stand out the most, and that would be Zodiac, excuse me, Zodiac and Moderator. Zodiac, Moderator, and a boy in a cloak. That boy in a cloak is supposed to be Terios. We want it to be like ominous, you know. So like, you know, people didn't know who he was, you know. I feel like, you know, people would end up finding out because, like, I don't know, the red eyes would probably give it away. Who knows? But yeah, it would just be Terios and them, you know, la di la di la, and then eventually Mirai and Hanzo would both go to that same village and try and like see what's going on. see if they can help in any way. And then once they get there, it's just a whole bunch of like vampires and stuff like that. It's a whole bunch of vampires just everywhere. And then obviously when the vampires see Mirai and Hanzo, they're obviously going to try and take them. And keep in mind, well, I should say Angel. Angel is still back at like the. I don't even know what we even had, like a cabin maybe. I don't know. But yeah, she's still there. Hanzo and Mirai are at the village, getting attacked by vampires, and it's obviously a lot of them. Hanzo is holding his own, but Mirai is struggling. Like Mirai is just because Hanzo's like way stronger than Mirai, obviously, and Mirai is just getting beat up. He's just getting destroyed. Like he can't do anything. And then eventually Hanzo realizes that like if they stay, Mirai is going to die. And then eventually Mirai is just like so beaten up that he can't move. And he wasn't going to die. They were going to take Mirai, and he wouldn't let that happen because he's protecting Mirai. He's basically like Mirai's legal guardian. Well, he is. And he takes Mirai. He takes Mirai and hightails it out of there. Goes back to where Angel is to get her away from there, so like nothing happens to her. And at this moment, Angel has her powers. Like it's the power of like shadows, that's why hence the name Shade. And Hanzo also has the same powers. That's why his eyes were purple. They used to not even be father and daughter, and then we made the decision to make it like that. I think it was a good decision. Well, yeah, it was a good decision. I think it was. And then eventually, like Mirai, Hanzo, and Angel were all just basically gonna be on the run, like away from like the vampires, because like Celine's goal is to like make everyone like on the planet and like a vampire. She just literally wants to be like the ruler of it all. She just wants to rule everything. And so yeah, they're basically on the hunt. I mean, on the hunt. What? They're basically on the run. And then Mirai eventually comes to a conclusion that like he wants to stop all the vampires. Like not stop all the vampires. He wants to stop Celine. Like he just wants to kill Celine because like there was a lot of people in that village that he knew. Like basically like a lot of good, like it was like a good village people. Like basically like as good as the people from Demon Slayer. Like how good of a relationship they had with Tanjiro. It was kind of like that. Like they were all so friendly to him. They, it was good vibes. It was good vibes. And Mirai, like, he's never seen like anybody like die or get taken away, quote unquote, or just beaten up. Because like a lot of the vampires beat up those village people. Because like not everybody would just go quietly. Some people tried to fight back, so they either died or gotten beat up. Like beat up so bad, like just beat up to a bloody pulp where you can't move, and that triggers something in Mirai, and then Hanzo saved him, and then okay, let's go back to where we where like they're just on the run, and Mirai like decides that he wants to get rid of all the vampires, and Hanzo and Angel are both going to help on this goal, and they're both going to train themselves up. They're all going to train themselves up, and on the like they a lot of times where they start to like get attacked by vampires, because vampires are just roaming everywhere, and then they eventually start getting attacked by vampires again, but it's not like as much as there was in the city because it's not like a coordinated attack. It's just vampires searching around and they found them, and Hanzo can take out a couple of vampires. They wouldn't be hard for him. He can take them out. And then eventually Mirai, well, we cut to like Nicholas's story. And Nicholas is the ice character he was on my account at first, and then he eventually got onto Quinn's account because I wanted Azar. We'll get to who he is in a little bit. Nicholas is Mirai's best friend, and him and Mirai, like, they didn't really see each other that often, we still didn't really work out like everything on how like their relationship was going to be, but we know that they were going to be like best friends for like they were best friends for like a long time. And the thing, like his backstory, like Nicholas's backstory is his mom is like the queen of ice, his dad is the king of ice, and he has a sister that is the princess of ice, and obviously he was the prince of ice, and he was the only one that like was actually like a good person. The rest of like the family was like evil. They weren't good people. And he was exiled. He was exiled from like I'd say like an ice domain, I should say. I think that's like cool. He was exiled from the ice domain, and he basically like he was on his own. And then I guess that would make like sense for him to like right there would be like cool for him to like come across Mirai and like help him with his quest to uh, kill all the vampires. And believe it or not, Nicholas's power used to be magic. How crazy is that? Like he was using the purple moves instead of shade. Now he's using ice. And then what you call it? We also come across what's her name? Ray during in this adventure. The girl with fire. What you call it? Yeah, the girl with fire. And she basically, yeah, the girl with fire. Sorry, I'm sorry, I'm having a brain fart. And basically, her backstory is, well, she was also in a village, a completely different village from Mariah's, and she lived with her father Azar, the guy with fire, and that sword that you always saw like that Ray had was like her father's sword, and like basically like the vampire is also rated there as well, and they try to take him as a vampire, and he's like almost on the level of like Hanzo. They're basically like the same tier. Hanzo's a little bit stronger though, but they're the same tier level. But while he's fighting back, instead of like taking Ray and running away, instead he hides Ray and sacrifices himself. So he ends up dying, and the only thing that's like left of him is like what like basically like all the vampires are attacking, and they kill him. They take the people from his village, and Ray is the only person left in there, and her house is like burned down to the ground, and like yeah, her house is like burned down to the ground, and she's like hiding under like this like fireproof like blanket just in case like their house ever did catch on fire, because they're fire. They have the power of fire. Well, Ray doesn't have her potential unlocked yet. Azar does though, because obviously. And this was basically going to be like her triggering point, because like she never saw like her dad die, but she knew what happened when the sword was left behind, because he always had his sword on him. And when the sword was left behind, like she knew her dad was dead, and that's how she unlocked her potential of like flame. She unlocked the power. Yeah, she unlocked the power of fire, flame, whatever you want to call it. Flame on, Johnny. If anybody got that Fantastic Four reference, then kudos to you. But yeah, that's where like she got the power of like fire, and eventually they come across her, and she wants to destroy like all the vampires, especially Celine, because like they took her father from her. Like it's not as much hatred. I mean, Mariah doesn't have as much hatred for the vampires as she does. Like she's way more fueled by what the vampires did than he is, because they took her father, and they took away some of like Mariah's like village pals. They killed her father, so you can understand why she'd be pissed. And eventually she wants to join in there, and she takes her father's sword, and she's also able to use like the fire abilities as well. Excuse me. And then and the main people for like the main people that are a part of this, or the people that are part of the crew, are you have Angel, aka Shade, Mirai, excuse me, Hanzo, Nicholas, and Ray. That's 5 people. So it's already like a big cast, you know. Well, not a big cast, but that's not really a big cast, I guess. It's like, you know, it's a good team. It's a good team. And okay, so the strongest is Hanzo. The second strongest is Ray. The third strongest is Nicholas. Then it's Shade, and then it's Mirai. Mirai is the weakest one because he's the only one that doesn't have his powers unlocked. Nicholas Nicholas never had to like tap into the power of ice. He always knew how to use it. When he was born, he already knew how to use his ice powers. I guess he's just a gifted bastard. But it's not like extremely strong because like they're all still kids. Like Ray couldn't set the whole world on fire. Nicholas could not freeze an ocean if he wanted to. The most okay, well like, I could say like the most ice that Nicholas can really produce would be like he can freeze like a big tree, like an entire like a 10-foot tree. That's the most he could do. Ray could like her fire could probably spread about like I'd say about like 30 feet. Um, Angel, you know, she can control people's shadows, but she can only control one person's shadow at a time. And obviously, all these like abilities are going to come like a lot more refined in the future. And what you call it? She also has like the power of like I don't even know what Hanzo's power is if I'm being real. I have no idea what it is, but she has it, and we're gonna have to figure that out. She's actually like she's a hybrid. She has a hybrid ability because like her mother had a different ability, and so did her dad. I still don't know what like Hanzo's ability was, but oh yeah. But before I do continue the story, I did want to say that like I'm going to continue this story because like well like obviously me and Quinn aren't doing it anymore because like we're not friends anymore, and like the reason we weren't even going to do the story even if we did stay friends anymore because like we I had a goal for the show. Like I wanted it to become something, and like this was basically just like a passion project for him. Like this is passion for me as well, but I also want it to become something one day. I don't want I don't want to do something for no reason. Like I don't like doing something without a purpose. I have a goal and I was trying to reach it. Yes, I want people to know about our ideas, but I also want like I want recognition. I would love recognition, and I want a goal to be like people would actually watch this. With that if we don't have a goal in mind, then like what's the show going to become? We're just going to keep doing this on Xenoverse? I don't want to do that. I want to have this animated. I was learning how to animate just for the show. I did those Xenoverse fight scenes just for this show, just because I really wanted something to come out of it. But Quinn had nothing in mind on what he wanted the show to become, so we couldn't do anything. He didn't know what he wanted to do. I knew what I wanted to do. I had a plan, and he didn't want to do the plan. So I decided like I was like, you could just do the show, then screw it. I'm not doing this fucking show with you. You could do it on your own, and let's see what it becomes. Let's see what it becomes. You do something, prove me wrong, even though you don't plan on doing anything with it. So you I don't know what to tell you. And then basically like I don't know what he's doing now. It seems like he's got like his own like type shit going on. But if he has the same plan, if he's doing the same thing that he's doing with the thing that we were doing, then if it's not gonna be like it's not gonna become anything. Like that's not hating to him, but if he doesn't want to do anything to it, if he doesn't want to do anything with his work, then it's not gonna become anything. So yeah, that's why I'm basically just like doing this. Cause like there was too many good ideas to just let them go to waste. It was a lot of good stuff. I'm not saying it was perfect, but it was really good. Like I really I didn't want to like quit doing this show. Like it was really kind of like I guess it was like an impulsive response at the same time. Cause like I was kind of like being pressured into like they was like, why don't you want to do it? Why don't you want to do it? I was like, because Quinn doesn't have any plans for this. Why do you want me to waste my time? And then I was like, "You're not wasting your time." I was like, "How am I not wasting my time? What are we going to gain from this?" And he's like, "I don't know. I don't know what this is going to become." I was like, "Exactly. I'm trying to have this become something." I'm like, what goals do you have?" And then he was like, I don't know." And I was like, "How do you plan on getting this out there?" And he was like, "I don't know." And like I'm just always giving. I'm always like I'm basically like the business one when it came. Well, I was a business thinker when it came between me and Quinn. It was. I'm not living in a fancy. I'm not living in a fantasy. I'm living in a reality. I'm trying to. I want to focus on like the real roots of like how what's this going to become, and it's. I can keep going on and on about that that dumb argument we had about that, but I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna just keep telling the story because I'm enjoying telling the story, and I'm enjoying the reminiscent of going over this story when I first went over it with Quinn. I was basically the writer. This is basically how it was. I was the writer. We both made characters. I did the fight scenes. I did the story. He did characters. Uh, he did story too. He did what's it called? Backstories, like what you call it, what like the thing with like Nicholas, how like he was exiled from like his parents, or like Azar or Ray's like how she got that sword, stuff like that. He did like that's what he did. Uh, Sometimes he I think I already said he does did stuff with the story. I was like the writer on like how stuff would like I was like the fight choreographer, like how things would go. Like I basically could like envision everything because I could do the fight choreography because we agreed on that, like because my what ifs. I do the fight choreography thing a lot already, and I'm oh geez, I'm talking for a long time. It's almost about to be 30 minutes. Okay, now where was I? Let me see. Okay, so I was where they were all like doing like questing and stuff, and this is no longer episode one, by the way. I think this will be like episode two, two and three probably. Okay, and it would they eventually get to Celine's castle. She's in a castle. She's fancy. She instead of well, like what she drinks, she's like kind of like coy with like when like how Celine is. She's kind of coy. She's like I guess like Frieza a little bit, just a little bit, not too much. And instead of red wine like Frieza, she does drink red wine mixed with blood. So like because she's a vampire. So like mix some red wine with some blood, and that's her cup of tea. You know what I'm saying? And basically, her two main minions are Zodiac and a moderator that freeze race with the black eyes, and that Namekian. I mean that black freeze race with the red eyes, and the black Namekian with the red eyes. They're not Namekians or freeze races in the show. I don't remember what we said Zodiac was, but I remember that moderator was a snake. He could take a humanoid form like when he wants to fight, and he's normally like he can like be like a scarf around Celine's neck. So it's like she always has like a snake as a scarf. We thought that was like a cool design. Like y'all think that's like a cool design? Think of like a like a think of Celine if y'all know who she is. If y'all I don't know, y'all probably do. Who knows? Think of her with like a snake around her neck with like black with red eyes, a black snake with red eyes around her neck. We thought it was so cool when we was coming up with that idea. And then obviously, she has Terios, and Terios is stronger than both Mirai. I'm not Mirai, stronger than both Zodiac and what you call it, and Moderator. He's stronger than both of them, and Terios ended up being like he ended up being like a son to Celine, like she's evil, but she actually cares about him. Like the other vampires, they're fodder. She actually cares about him. Like she really cares about him. Like if he was her own, because it's kind of like she's seen him grow up all the way to like 15, 16 years old. Like she's been in there the entire life, his entire life. She's been training him. She's been she's just been there. She's been there. And yeah, when they finally get to the castle, they're like ready to fight. They get past like all the vampires and stuff. Mirai's struggling, obviously. Everybody else is holding their own, especially Hanzo. And Ray is like basically like when she's going through vampires, she's showing no mercy because what happened to her father, she's just killing all of them. Like really, the plan was not to kill any of the vampires because there might be a way to turn them back to normal. But then they ended up realizing that they can't do it because like these vampires aren't getting knocked out. They're the only way to defeat them is to kill them. So if you don't kill them, then they're just going to keep getting back up. So they had to kill him. Mirai obviously almost dying a lot. He's like almost dying like a lot of times. And eventually they get to like a Zodiac. They get to like this cave, right? And then they end up getting separated. I forgot how they got separated. Yeah, I'll when I start to like rewriting stuff for the story, I'll figure it out. And basically, Hanzo, Nicholas, and Angel, they're together. They're all together. Wait, actually, no. Nicholas, no. It's Hanzo and Angel. They're together. Ray is in a cave by herself. Mirai is in a cave by himself. Yeah, Nicholas is in a cave by himself. All them three are in caves by themselves. And who comes from the cave that Ray's in is Moderator. He's going to be he gets a one-on-one with Celine. I'm stupid. With Ray, and Moderator gets a one-on. I just said him. I'm stupid. Zodiac gets a one-on-one with Nicholas, and Terios gets a one-on-one with Mirai. This is, pretty awesome, I know. Okay, and basically how this goes is Ray and a Moderator, when they fight, it's completely even. Ray's out for blood while Moderator is just like, he's also kind of coy. And like, he's kind of like a snake as well, He's like slithering with his S's, like, and he has like that slick movement, like where like it's hard to touch him. And Ray's like a heavy hitter, so he's getting in more hits on her than she is on him. But if she hits him, then it's pretty much a done deal because she's so strong. And Nicholas and Zodiac are like, they're kind of even, but Zodiac has the edge because Zodiac is like a tank, so he can tank pretty much anything that Nicholas can throw at him. Nicholas can't freeze him either, because like anybody that's like stronger than him or just as strong as him, he can't freeze them. And well, he can't freeze their entire body at least. And the most that he can freeze on like Zodiac is like his arm, and obviously Zodiac can bust that with his other arm. So the only way Nicholas would be able to beat Zodiac is if he could freeze each limb one by one, which is pretty hard. Because, you're fighting against someone who's 7 feet tall while you're like 5'8", like in a scrawny 15-year-old boy. So it's pretty hard for him. And Terios and Mirai, their fight is very one-sided, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess who is beating the dog shit out of who. Terios is just wailing on Mirai, just beating him. And then eventually, Terios ends up realizing like how similar they look because they have the same hairstyle and they're twins, obviously. And he ends up realizing like how they look so similar, and he starts kind of like holding back with his punches. Mirai is still like fighting for dear life though. We had Terios like figure this out because like Terios didn't really have. There's nothing going on for Terios yet, And he's going to be like a main part of the story eventually. And he he actually starts to like talk to Mirai, and then like he's like, "Who's your father and your mother?" Well, he's like, "Who's your parents?" And Mirai's like, "I don't have any parents." And then he was like, "Why do you ask?" And then he was like, "Cause you look very familiar." And "Now that you mention it, so do you." And then he's like, "Who's your parents?" And he was like, "I don't have any parents, but Celine's been raising me since I was a baby." And then they find that like kind of they find that very coincidental, like how they're both orphans and someone took them in. Hanzo took in Mirai and Celine took in Terios. It's but Terios obviously doesn't know that he was kidnapped as a baby. He thought he was like, adopted, and he was fine with that. He didn't he didn't really see what Celine was doing is evil. It's kind of like what Thanos was doing to Gamora. Like, I mean, he was manipulating her to like be like, what I'm doing isn't wrong. It's right, and it's for a good cause. Same thing for Celine. She basically just she made her evil intent seem so pure. That's basically what she did. And what's you call it? When we get back to like Nicholas and Zodiac, um, Nicholas is just keep trying to free Zodiac. Like he keeps making the mistake on like starting with like Zodiac's head, and Zodiac can obviously like use one of his other hands to like break the what you call it to break the ice on his head. So he had to strategize, and he knows that he can freeze two limbs at a time because he has two hands. So he can free. So he came up with the idea that he would freeze an arm and a leg first. So he freezes the left leg and the left leg and the left arm, and then he's basically just like circling around Zodiac and just keeps freezing him until eventually he like has his body completely encapsulated in ice, and then Zodiac still ends up breaking out because Zodiac is like just like a powerhouse. And then what you call it? Pretty much Zodiac just starts wailing on like Nicholas because Nicholas is starting to get tired, and because like the hotter the atmosphere, the weaker Nicholas will be, and they're in a castle, and I don't picture a castle being quite cold. I see it more being warm towards hot. So he's really lowing down on fumes, like he's really struggling. And with Ray and Moderator, Ray is losing because of one like simple thing that I think is like a amazing idea. Um, Moderator is he's constantly talking, and Ray is not thinking when she fights. She's just completely blinded by anger. So she's letting her anger just like guide her punches, and is messing her up. It's making her sloppy. Like she's going for punches, she's going for kicks, she's going for sword slashes, and there's just nothing is hitting. And what she don't excuse me, she cuts off, like she eventually cuts off a moderator's hand, but it grows back because he's a snake and reptiles grow back they grow back their limbs, and the only way to kill him is to cut off his head. Obviously, she doesn't know that, but that's what she's aiming for. She's going for the neck. Kind of like Demon Slayer. I never thought about that, but it's kind of like Demon Slayer. But yeah, so basically everybody's struggling except Mariah. Mariah and Terios are just talking. They're just talking, and Terios ends up telling Mariah the exit from like where he is, and he like just sends him out. And Mariah just what you call it? Mariah just leaves, and Terios just leaves. Terios goes to Celine, and Celine asks, "Did you do it?" And then Terios is just like, "No, I didn't." And then she's like, "Why? Why didn't you kill him? That was your opportunity." He was like, "It just didn't seem right." And then they kind of have like this. They kind of have like this what you call it, mother son moment Well, like she's kind of disappointed, but still understanding because she knows Terios. She obviously she knows Terios, and then Nicholas ends up like winning his fight because like what he ends up doing is he ends up freezing Zodiac's head, and then punching Zodiac's head, breaking his head into like little ice shards, into like little ice pieces. And what you call it, Zodiac is down. He's done. And then eventually Ray ends up moderator's talking so much shit that he actually ends up giving Ray the key to defeating him. And he says if you keep getting blinded by your anger, you'll never be able to touch me. And then she takes his advice, which was stupid on his part, and she ends up focusing and slicing his head right off. Just clean off. And they're both done. And then both Nicholas and Ray eventually end up finding the exit, and they end up regrouping with Nicholas, Mirai, oh my gosh, Angel, Hanzo, and Mirai. The whole group's back together. Then they end up getting to Celine's corridors, or her throne, I guess. They already plowed through all the vampires. Plowed. Ugh. They made their way to the top of the tower, I should say. Top of the tower where Celine's throne is. And it's time for like the big showdown, right? Okay? And this is basically how this goes. Terios is going to fight all of the kids while Hanzo is fighting Celine. Okay, now Terios is able to easily like wipe all the kids easily, like all of them, like no diff. The ice doesn't work on him, the fire doesn't work on him, Mariah's martial arts doesn't work on him, but Mariah and him keep having like this awkward stare down every single time they like get close to each other. It's like real awkward, and they don't know what to say to each other. And Shade tries like controlling his shadow, but he ends up like beating up his own shadow, so that doesn't work against him. And then they're all defeated, and they all just are just watching like Hanzo and Celine fight, and they're just going at it. Like it's like a spectacular fight. They're just all over the place. They're just going everywhere. And Celine can fly, Hanzo can't. She can like grow wings in her back, and like bat wings, I should say, and she can fly. So like it's kind of giving her like also like a little bit of an edge, but Selena is still also stronger than Hanzo by like a little bit. She's like a little bit stronger than Hanzo, and well, not like a little bit. It's like it's a big difference, but like it could still be like a little bit of a close fight, just not that close. But like if Hanzo and Azar were both there, they'd be able to like kill Celine. But it's only Hanzo, so y'all can pretty much guess what happens here. Hanzo ends up getting she ends up putting her hand through his stomach, and like it's all bloody, her hand and everything. And they everybody's watching, and they're just beat up. Mariah's like mostly hurt about this. Excuse me. And then there's like this big like light, kind of like this like a window light, like showing like the moon. Like the window is like completely like a circle like of the moon, kind of. Yeah, it's like showing like the moon, and it's like a blood moon, perfect symbol of vampires, And then basically she grabs Hanzo by the neck, she lifts him up to that window and just throws him out the window. Like just throws him by his neck out the window. Excuse me, that voice crack. And all the kids obviously see this, and they're devastated, especially Mirai and Angel, because Angel, and well that was Angel's dad, and it was like a dad to Mirai. Nicholas and Ray, they're shocked because they thought they were gonna win. they thought they'd be strong enough, but they weren't. And the whole gang, they basically retreat. Celine is too weak to stop them, so she tells Terios to stop them. And we basically have like this we basically have like this chase scene of like Terrio's chasing down the gang. Everybody has like their own like way of running away from him, and I thought that was like, kind of cool. You have like Shade and her shadow parkouring with each other. Like her shadow's like grabbing her and like throwing her, so like she can get like extra distance away. Nicholas is like doing like kind of like a ice slide. He's like sliding on ice. He's like able to like create ice, and like he makes like ice waves and he can like slide on it. Ray is basically like flying with fire, with her hands, just flying away. And Mariah's just running away. He's just playing running. He's parkouring. He's just running. He can't really do anything. And then, obviously, Nicholas, Angel, and Ray are the ones that get away, and Mariah is the only one that doesn't get away. And eventually, Terios ends up cornering Mariah. And what's it called? He ends up cornering Mariah on that same cliff that Mariah passed out over over that waterfall. That same waterfall. And I think that is a perfect place to end things for right now. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because like I enjoy telling stories, and I especially enjoyed telling this story. It was amazing to tell. Got a lot of stuff. If you guys liked it, I'll do a part two to this. This was already pretty long. I'll do a part two to this, and if you guys want me to continue like making this story, because every parts of the story were like, it was a little improvised, because like little like bits and pieces I filled in myself. Like we didn't have to figure it out. Some stuff I figured out myself. Like I literally just came up with it on the spot. I hope it was like pretty good, but like, well, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and if you guys want another one, just let me know, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.